Sports Night Niagara is brought to you by Mount St. Mary's Hospital and Health Center, Wendy's Old Fashioned Hamburgers, Total Tan, Crown Plaza, Niagara Falls, Direct Air and Tours, Tim Hortons, Pepsi, New Era, and PurpleEagles.com.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Sports Night Niagara. I'm your host, Jeremy White. Tonight we'll catch up on some Z's. That's right, Mark Zent and Paul Zanette of our men's hockey team will be joining us. We'll talk about some CHA action and check in on the hockey team. But we've got a special show tonight because it's that time of year. I should say it's that time every 4 years. The Olympics. And with the Winter Olympics in action, we have our own Olympian in studio, Caitlin Lever, who is an assistant coach at the Niagara women's softball team, joining us here. And an Olympian yourself. Yep. You've taken some time to join us, so thanks for being here. I wanted to ask you what the overall experience was like, just because so many people at home watch the Olympics and think what it must be like to be there. What was it like to be in Beijing?
It was incredible. I mean, I know that I was that person that wondered what it was going to be like, and you're really not prepared for it until you're actually there, and just walking in with them, announcing your country into the opening ceremonies. It just, up until that point, it really never hits you until you're there, and I'll never forget it. Was
it something you actually had dreamed of? You'd kind of just envisioned as something you wanted to do your entire life?
I mean, as an athlete, I think it's everyone's ultimate dream, but it's never really a reality. I wasn't expecting to do it. It wasn't something that I thought was possible for me, and it was presented in the late of my collegiate career, and I'm very blessed that it came my way.
You played on the Canadian softball team, and overall the experience was unforgettable, of course. But I guess what can you take from that experience to talk to your players about? How can you use that as a teaching tool to some of your younger players?
I think a great thing about it is how they view you. A lot of times when that title, if you say, is tapped to you, people are more willing to listen to what you've said, knowing that you've gone through the highest level you can possibly go at sport. I feel like it's earned a lot of respect with my players, and it's a lot easier to convey and get people to trust in what I teach.
What was the most memorable moment of the entire tournament?
Unfortunately, it's not a good one.
Uh-oh.
We lost to Australia in the bronze medal. It was a heartbreaking finish, a back and forth game, and we were going for podium and we fell just short. But in the moment it was just devastating, but looking back now, it's just an amazing, watching the Olympics that's going on now, it's like, I know what that felt like. I was there.
And you have dual citizenship, U.S. and Canada, and had a game against the U.S. So
right.
What was that like, to just kind of be stuck in the middle there? I mean, obviously you're with Team Canada, so
right.
No worries in terms of who you're rooting for. You're rooting for your team.
Mm-hmm.
But what was that like?
Well, I knew a lot of the girls. We'd played them a lot of times leading up to the Olympics, so we were prepared. It wasn't necessarily weird for me, but we were in a rain delay in the middle of the game. We were actually beating them for a good portion of the game, which was not expected of us. Then when we came back a day later to finish the game after the China, our pitchers were just worn down and we ended up just getting creamed.
So what's it like on the grand stage, though? Because you can talk about what it's like for a Canadian to be in Beijing, but what's it like to see athletes from all over the world? You mentioned you played against the Australian team, and there's other events, there's other sports that are in. Just how many Olympians are there and how many different cultures and peoples are really represented?
It is the most amazing thing. You hit it right on the note, because going through the Olympics, I have friends now from all over the country, girls that we've played against in several tournaments leading up to the Olympics with girls on other teams, and just how warming the whole world is and welcoming they are, and there's just this camaraderie between all of the softball teams from all the nations, like even the ones from Japan. I mean, we can't speak their language, but they communicate with us and we know them, and they'll wave and say hi and ask for a picture, and it's just an amazing experience.
And one more Olympic question before we get on to some Niagara stuff, but it was the last Olympics with softball.
Yeah.
So are you hoping it will come back? Are you optimistic that at some point softball will be coming back to the Olympics?
Well, yeah, that was a huge blow to us, and we were expecting to get back in 2012 for London, but they were presenting sports in Copenhagen, actually, not too long ago, and they were going to cut it down to 3 sports, thinking we had a really good shot getting back in 2016, and word came back we didn't even make the top 3, so we're out for at least 2 more. So that's my time, which I was thinking about being an old geezer and sticking it out till I was 30, but it's just not in the cards now. So hopefully the future it comes back, but it's not going to be for 8.
Well, at least you got in while you could. I mean, the
Right.
sport's there while you were able to do it. In terms of Niagara, how far away from softball season are we?
A week away. It's winding down. Yep, really excited. The girls are super excited. We're stuck in a gym, and they're just ready to get out on the field.
But there's snow on the ground, and not just here, in just about every state in the country.
I know, and there's been a lot of cancellations like even this past weekend with tournaments that have already started for other teams. So we're just crossing our fingers and hoping that Mother Nature's on our side so we can get out there.
So while you're inside in the gym and doing preparations while it's still cold outside and there's snow on the ground, what kind of things do you do to stay in shape, to kind of gear up for game situations?
Well, we do a lot of live throwing. Unfortunately, we can't hit live inside of a gym, so we're stuck in a cage. So the pitchers and the batters get their own zoned-in live experience, which I think is good when it comes to playing live because you're zoned in, you and the pitcher, and everything else disappears. You're not really worried about anything else. However, defensively, we don't get the live reads that we get, but we make the best of what we have. So,
what are your goals for this season for the team?
To win the MAC championship for sure.
How possible is it? How realistic is it? If there are a list of goals, is that number one? Are there goals that lead up to that one?
For sure. There's a lot of small goals, and you don't want to get too stuck on some big sight in the end when it's all about the process. We came just short last year. We took the championship into a second game, and we ended up falling to Canisius. So this year I think the girls know what it's like. They have the experience of being in a championship game, and this year they're going to be able to have the chance to take it home.
Well, best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the trip to Beijing, and enjoy the rest of the Winter Games from Vancouver.
Appreciate it.
Caitlin Lever, the assistant softball coach at Niagara University. Up next, the two Zanettes. Paul first, then Mark. The men's hockey team checks in on Sports Night Niagara.